Okay, right, look, we all know this is the greatest pay-per-view WWE or potentially any wrestling company has ever made, ever. We all know that. The big question is not that, the big question is this. Do you pronounce it WrestleMania 17 or WrestleMania X7? Because no, right? No, listen, I thought it was really cut and dry too, but The Office are fucking killing each other right now. Michael Sidgwick just slapped Jack the Jobber full in the face with his ring hand. I say WrestleMania X7 because I'm a reasonable fucking human being, and I will come down on you like an avalanche if you even dare say WrestleMania 17 to me. Anyway, yeah, it's the best thing WWE have ever made, no big deal. I'm Adam from WhatCulture.com, and here are 10 fascinating facts about WrestleMania X7. Number 10, Shawn Michaels was fired days before the show. There was a time when HB Shizzle was at his most difficult, when WWF firing Shawn Michaels would have made the locker room poo themselves with sheer delight. In 2001, it was just a bit upsetting. He had been invited to the March 26th episode of Raw in Cleveland, the night of the Nitro simulcast, with apparent plans to involve him in some capacity in the upcoming weeks or months. By his admission, HBK took some pills at the show and backstage was noticeably higher than a weather balloon. The showstopper passed out in Vince's office that night and was sent home by the boss the following day. Apparently, Triple H informed McMahon of Michael's compromised state, leading to a huge argument between both men, who apparently did not speak for more than a year. Number 9, Raven almost accidentally cut the power to the whole show. The Hardcore Championship bout pitting Raven against Big Show and Kane was an enjoyable mix of comedy and also Raven going through the window. Holy shit, that's badass. One of the most memorable spots in the match was the brief golf cart chase. According to Raven, the chase was supposed to circle the entire building, but he made a nearly dire miscalculation. Raven tried to swerve the cart into a mesh retaining wall with the idea of bouncing off of it and continuing to drive away. What he didn't realize is there was a gap between the concrete foundation and the wall, and the tires plunged into that gap. Apparently, there was some critical wiring located down there, and Raven was later told by production crew members that he had come within a quarter inch of knocking out power to the broadcast. Number 8, Shawn Stasiak spoiled an appearance by WCW. It takes a lot to overshadow a WrestleMania, but Vince McMahon's purchase of WCW was more earth-shattering than any supercard. Scary Vincent bought up the assets at barely more than cost price, and his son and coma wife then kicked the shit out of him at WrestleMania, which is how business works. It could have been very different. Days before Mania, various WCW wrestlers, including Lance Storm, Hugh Morris, Shawn Stasiak, and others, were told they'd be flown into WrestleMania in order to help Shane thwart Vince in their street fight. The WCW guys were indeed there, but they appeared only as spectators in a luxury box. That's because Stasiak blurted out the entire plan to a media outlet on the eve of the show, and a furious Vince scrapped the plan. According to Storm, the boss was so angry at the leak he almost sent the entire WCW contingent home. Stasiak was then booked to spend the majority of his WWF career accidentally running into walls. Number 7, Mick Foley turned down a match with Vince. Before Shane was inserted into the match with his father at WrestleMania X7, it was originally intended for retired Mick Foley to battle the chairman instead. Foley had been fired as commissioner by a spiteful, tyrannical McMahon in December 2000 and would have been the moral avenger fighting on behalf of Linda McMahon, who Vince had been drugging into a coma because wrestling. Foley, however, turned the match down. He believed his in-ring retirement after WrestleMania 2000 should stick, at least until WrestleMania 22, and he chose to continue at that point as a non-wrestler, acting as guest referee for the match instead. It's hard to see the match going any other way now, though Foley admits he regrets not taking the match. Number 6, Jeff Hardy's Swanton Bomb knocked out Spike Dudley's teeth. TLC 2 is the perfect car wreck. Despite being more than capable of raising hell on their own, all three teams had their own respective sidekick. The Hardys had Lita, the Dudleys had Spike, and Edge and Christian had Rhino. Lita versus Spike versus Rhino. Yeah, no, that seems fairly balanced. It was poor Spike that took the brunt of the melee. Not only did he take an absolute you of a chair shot from Lita, he also took one of Jeff Hardy's trademark ladder swantons. Edge would later claim that the impact of that move knocked out Spike's front teeth. Aside from Matt Hardy needing a head wound stapled shut, Edge called Spike's teeth the worst casualty of the match. Number 5. To date, it marks the last tag televised title change at WrestleMania. Seriously, in the first 16 WrestleManias, the WWF Tag Team Championships changed hands 8 times, 9 times if you count pre-show of WrestleMania 12. Edge and Christian retrieved the belts from the Skyhook at the end of TLC 2, and WrestleMania has bafflingly gone without a single televised tag team title change ever since. The only swapping of tag gold since then took place on the pre-show of WrestleMania 25 when Carlito and Primo toppled John Morrison and The Miz to unify the belts of Raw and SmackDown. Thankfully, Primo's doing much better work now. From WrestleMania 18 onwards, there have been 12 total tag team tussles tailored to terminate in terrific triumph for the title holders. God, I'm worth every fucking penny! In fact, the tag belts haven't even been defended on the main show of Mania since WrestleMania 29. What the fudgesicle? Number 4, George George Gray could no longer fit into the Akeem costume. The gimmick Battle Royal was little more than an excuse to parade a horde of throwback characters before a crowd that hadn't yet been waterlogged by nostalgia, and it was called by Bobby Heenan and Mean Gene awesome. The monstrous George Gray was originally slated to appear in the Battle Royal as his preposterous Akeem the African Dream character, but had lost so much weight by 2001 that apparently the tribal garb no longer fit his frame. Instead, Gray dressed as his other well-known character, the Chicago Brawler known simply as the One Man Gang, robbing the audience of hearing his Jive Soul Bro theme, which is a travesty. Number 3, it was once proposed that Triple H box Mike Tyson. Instead of becoming streak victim number 9, there were radically different plans for the game at Mania X7. Mike Tyson was to be brought in for a boxer versus wrestler match against the game that would apparently have seen both Earl Hebner and iconic boxing official Mills Lane preside over the bout together. Helmsley isn't sure whether it was supposed to be under standard boxing rules or not, but believes the proposed fight would have lasted 6 rounds before a finish. In the end, payola was a deal breaker, with Helmsley claiming the money needed to procure Tyson for Mania and the necessary shows beforehand was just too much. Instead, we got the immense Taker vs. Trips street fight. Oh, no, wait, it wasn't a street fight, which is why Number 2, Mike Keota played dead for more than 10 minutes. As much as it might not have been the first or second choice for Taker or Trips, both men wrestled in a fantastic match in the semi-main. It ticked off many boxes of the Attitude Era checklist, including fight into the crowd, blade, get chokeslammed onto a very obvious mattress, break a table, and hit the referee. The last one was a bit silly. Veteran official Mike Keota was assaulted by Undertaker for rendering a slow count during a pinfall attempt. The assault culminated with Undertaker dropping an elbow across Keota's back. That elbow drop was enough to render Keota motionless for exactly 10 minutes and 10 seconds, which raises the question, why the f*** wasn't that elbow Biker Taker's finisher? Number 1, Stone Cold nearly stunned Vince. The climax of the biggest show ever was the biggest babyface in the company becoming the biggest heel. Steve Austin felt that things had gotten stale for babyface Stone Cold and he had an epiphany. He would go naughty. However, by the time McMahon handed Austin the chair to signal the beginning of their startling alliance, Austin was beginning to doubt the crafted plan. In fact, Austin felt that before McMahon's involvement, he'd regained his mojo through the course of what was an excellent match with The Rock, arguably the best match of either man's career. Austin thought about calling the turn off right there and planting Vince with a stunner. It might not have justified McMahon helping him, but it could have added a bit of edge back into a character that needed a little more complexity. And thus ends WrestleMania X7. If the Attitude Era was a punk rock anthem, Austin's heel turn was an abrupt record scratch that signaled the end of a truly special time. Other Manias would be good, some would even be great, but WrestleMania X7, we shall never see your like again. And that's our list. Did we miss any out? Tell us about it in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter here. I'm Adam from WhatCulture.com, and I'll see you soon.